Incomes and gains not taxable in Nigeria. You can now pay less tax in Nigeria. We'll show you how. There are two types of incomes and gains. Where do you belong? Do you belong to those who pay taxes on all their incomes and gains? Or do you belong to those who pay little or no tax on their incomes and gains? Here is a chart. The first circle is incomes and gains. On the left side of the circle are incomes and gains that are taxable. And on the right side are incomes and gains that are not taxable. So, which side do you belong? Do you belong to those whose incomes and gains are wholly taxed, for which they are very sad? Or do you belong to the right side of incomes and gains that are not taxable, for which the people smile to their banks? We will see. Incomes and gains not taxable in Nigeria, so you can pay less tax. Dear friends, do you know that you can pay little or no tax in Nigeria, legally and ethically? Do you know that there are numerous incomes and gains that are exempt from tax in Nigeria, that is not taxable in Nigeria? What the tax laws or tax authorities call exempt income, income exempt, or non-chargeable gains. Also, do you know that you can be perpetually free from tax? Well, this is a discussion for another day. We'll do a separate video on that. But for now, yes, you can now pay less tax in Nigeria by simply harnessing the incomes and gains that are exempt from tax in Nigeria. And you can do this by simply structuring or restructuring the nature and mechanism of your employment, your business, and your investment portfolio so that they will tilt more towards incomes and gains that are not taxable in Nigeria. This tax planning strategy is both legal and ethical. All you have to do is first know the law very well, know the tax law very well, as we show you here. Then you have to be proactive, innovative, creative, and serious. You have to be active, as the gains will not just fall on your laps. You must put them in. Today, tax is a very serious matter. You have to gravitate towards and nicely embrace tax planning and avoidance. You have to detest and run away from tax evasion, for it is illegal, it is unethical, it is sinful, and it is dangerous for you. In this video, we'll show you a number, if not all the incomes and gains that are exempt from tax in Nigeria. You will learn a lot, including the golden rule of tax freedom, various incomes and gains that are not subject to tax in Nigeria, some tips on how you can harness the exempt incomes and gains, and others. So what do you do? Simple. Just follow us attentively to the end of this video. And please remember, we are talking of Nigeria, not Niger. A correction there. In addition, we will be releasing more videos, and to get the videos hot and fresh, kindly like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and share to as many people as possible, as many loved ones as possible, so that they can also benefit. Also, we would like to hear from you on how these videos are assisting you to understand the tax law and your compliance with it. In addition, should you have any matter or wish to make any comment, kindly drop such in the comment section or contact us through any of the other various contact channels. Thank you. What are you going to learn in this compass of video? In this video, you will learn more about the various incomes and gains that are exempt from tax in Nigeria, that is not taxable in Nigeria, and how that knowledge can help you pay less tax in Nigeria. So you're going to learn the golden rule of tax freedom, how you can be tax-free for life. You're going to learn it here. You're going to learn employment incomes that are not taxable, investment incomes that are not taxable, business incomes that are not taxable, compensation incomes that are not taxable, dividend incomes that are not taxable, Gains from retirement schemes that are not taxable. Gains from shares, not taxable. Those of you who are into stocking, stockbroking, and the stock exchange, you're going to learn your shares, that transactions that are not taxable. Gains from compensation and life assurance policies that are not taxable. Gains from personal assets like gold, women, those of you who sell gold, that so you learn to know which are not taxable. Some tips on how to harness the incomes and gains not taxable. List of the 22 interdependent compasses about tax code and the principal consultant. Now, let's tell you the golden rule of tax freedom, how you can be free from tax wahala. Dear friend, do you want to be free from tax wahala? No disturbance of your sleep by a taxman. No knocking at your door by a tax lady. No receipt of long queries by your business from a tax controller. No receipt of unsolicited reminders or threats by your company. No blocking of your bank accounts by the tax chairman. No debiting of your bank account at the directive of the tax authority. No barging into you or your business by law enforcement officers. No forceful entry into your business premises by tax officers and law enforcement officers. No threat of imprisonment by a law court. No selling of your business and or its assets without a court order after the tax has become final and conclusive by the Nigeria Revenue Service. Dear friend, if your answer to the above compound question is a capital yes, then obey the golden rule of tax freedom. And you ask, what is this golden rule of tax freedom? I will tell you here that it is called the three C's. And you ask, what is the three C's? They are comply, comply, and they comply. So, employment income not taxable in Nigeria. The first is minimum wage income. Income of an employee who earns the national minimum wage or less is not taxable. First 800,000 taxable income. The first 800,000 of the taxable income or chargeable income of an employee in Nigeria is not taxable in Nigeria. Employment emoluments of diplomats. Wages and salaries of diplomats are not taxable in Nigeria. Emoluments of military officers. Wages and salaries of military officers are not taxable in Nigeria. Emoluments of other rank. Emoluments of any person serving as other rank, not taxable in Nigeria. Emoluments of combat personnel. Emoluments of personnel serving in combat zones or hazardous areas, those who protect us, are not taxable. Investment income not taxable in Nigeria. Income from federal government and state bonds. Income earned from bonds issued by the state or the federal government of Nigeria, issued by a state in Nigeria or the federal government of Nigeria, is not taxable in Nigeria. It is, however, subject to withholding tax as final tax and not subject to further income tax. Interest on short-term securities, savings account. Interest on short-term securities, including savings account, are subject to withholding tax as final tax, but are not subject to further income tax. Gains of angel investors and venture capitalists. Gains accrued from disposal of assets by an angel investor, venture capitalist, private equity fund, accelerators or incubators with respect to a labeled startup are not taxable. Pension fund and assets. Pension fund and assets created pursuant to the Pension Reform Act are not taxable. Retirement benefits. Pension, gratuity, or any retirement benefits granted in accordance with the Pension Reform Act are not taxable. Now, business income or trade income not taxable in Nigeria. Income from agricultural business. Income generated by companies engaged in agricultural business is not taxable. Please go into agribusiness and earn more income with less tax. Profits from export business. The profits of any Nigerian company in respect of goods or services exported from Nigeria, if the proceeds of such exports are repatriated through official channels, not through private or unofficial channels, you are exempt from tax. Profits from sporting activities. Profits of a company engaged in sporting activities, not taxable. Income from outside Nigeria. Dividend, interest, rent, or royalty derived from outside Nigeria and brought into Nigeria through approved channels, not taxable. Dividends from export business. Dividend received from investments in wholly export-oriented business, not taxable. Income development tax incentives, which replaced the Pioneer Act. Profits of a priority product or service are exempt from tax for the number of years the priority product or service is granted. Compensation income not taxable in Nigeria. Payment for loss of employment, redundancy lump sum payment, and other compensation of capital nature, not of revenue nature. Please note that for loss of employment, not taxable. The payment must be of capital nature and not of revenue or recurrent nature. Death or injury gratuities. A sum received by way of death gratuities or as consolidated compensation for death or injuries, not taxable. Disability payment to our soldiers. Wound or disability payments granted to members of the armed forces or of any recognized national defense organization or to a person injured as a result of enemy action. Payment to those who dangerously stake their lives that we may live. Dividend income not taxable in Nigeria. Dividends from export business. Dividend received from investment in wholly export-oriented business, not taxable. Franked investment income. Dividend received by a person from a Nigerian company is subject to withholding tax as final tax and no further income tax. Please note that dividend received by a person from a Nigerian company is subject to withholding tax as final tax and no further income tax. Dividend of a CIS. Dividend distributed by authorized collective investment scheme, CIS. Dividends or rental incomes of real estate investment company, those in real estate. Please note this. Dividend or rental income received by a real estate investment company on behalf of its shareholders, where not less than 75% of the dividend or rental income is distributed within 12 months after the end of the financial year in which the dividend or rental income was earned. This is government idea, strategy, or initiative to encourage investment in real estate so people can have houses to live in. Compensating payments which qualify as chargeable gain. Compensating payments which qualify as chargeable dividends received by a lender from his approved agent or a borrower in a regulated security lending transaction is not taxable or are not taxable. Compensating payments which qualify as chargeable dividends or interest. Compensating payments which qualify as chargeable dividend or interest received by an approved agent from a borrower or lender on behalf of a lender or borrower in a regulated securities lending transaction are not taxable. Gains from retirement schemes not taxable in Nigeria. The following gains do not constitute chargeable gains and therefore are not taxable. Gains to pension funds and assets. Gains accruing to pension fund and assets approved under the Pension Reform Act, not taxable. Gains to retirement benefit schemes. Gains accruing to an individual from disposal of investment held as part of any national provident fund or other retirement benefit schemes established under the provisions of any act or enactment for employees throughout Nigeria, not taxable. Gains on bravery, decorations, awards, and gifts. Gains on disposal of gifts for bravery are tax exempt. Gains on disposal of a decoration awarded for valor or gallant conduct which a person acquires otherwise than for consideration in money or money's worth, not taxable. Gains from disposal of shares, not taxable. Here are stockbrokers, stock investors, and shareholders. To encourage investment by Nigerians in Nigerian companies, some gains from investment in shares in Nigerian companies are exempt from tax. Specifically, the Act provides that gains that accrue to a person from disposal of shares in any Nigerian company are exempt from tax, where the disposal proceeds in aggregate, in total, are less than 150 million naira, and the chargeable gain does not exceed 10 million naira in any 12 consecutive months. That gain is not taxable. Where the shares are transferred between an approved borrower and a lender in a regulated securities lending transaction. And lastly, where the proceeds from such disposal notwithstanding the 150 million naira or 10 million naira threshold, are reinvested within the same year of assessment in the acquisition of shares in the same or other Nigerian companies, provided that tax shall accrue proportionately on the portion of the proceeds which are not reinvested in the manner stipulated in this subsection. Gains from compensation and life assurance policies not taxable in Nigeria. Compulsory acquisition of land. Any gain that arises from compulsory acquisition of land of a person by an authority is tax exempt, except where the person solicited for such acquisition, where the person pleaded or wanted the acquisition to hold. Disposal of life assurance policy. Any gain that arises from disposal of a life assurance policy by the assurer is tax exempt, except where the disposer was not the original owner of the life assurance policy. Compensation for loss of employment. Sums not exceeding 50 million naira received by an individual as compensation for loss of office or employment, wrong or injury for libel, or slander are tax exempt. Where the compensation amount exceeds 50 million naira, the excess is taxable in Nigeria. Where it doesn't exceed 50 million naira is not taxable, but where it exceeds, it is taxable in Nigeria. Gains from personal assets not taxable in Nigeria. The following gains of individuals are exempt from tax. Gains on a dwelling house. Gains arising from disposal of a dwelling house or part thereof, but this exemption is for once in a lifetime. So, if you dispose of your dwelling house, your residential house, any gain on it is not taxable. But please know that this exemption is for once in a lifetime, not twice, not thrice. Gains on dwelling land. Similarly, disposal of land immediately adjoining the dwelling house up to a maximum of 1 acre is also not taxable. But again, please remember that this is only for once in a lifetime. You cannot repeat it. Gains on personal charters. Gains arising from disposal of personal charters, like gold, being tangible movable property, where the total amount or value of the consideration for disposal does not exceed 5 million naira, or 3 times the annual national minimum wage, whichever is higher. I repeat this for emphasis. Gains arising from disposal of personal charters, being tangible movable property, where the total amount or value of the constitution for disposal does not exceed 5 million. It is 5 million and below, or 3 times the annual national minimum wage, whichever is higher, is those gains are not taxable. So when a woman sells her gold and the disposal value is not more than 5 million, any gain she makes on that gold is not taxable. Gains on private vehicles. Gains arising from disposal of 1 or 2 private vehicles, subject to a maximum of 2 vehicles in a year of assessment. I repeat, gains arising from disposal of 1 or 2 private vehicles, subject to a maximum of 2 vehicles in a year of assessment, are not taxable. Gains on disposal of a gift. Gains arising from disposal of an asset as a gift, which itself was acquired by way of gift. Some tips on how to harness the incomes and gains not taxable in Nigeria. They include, please know your tax law very well. We always emphasize this. Just don't leave the knowledge to only your tax consultant or tax corp. Tax corp will always be there, but please, it's important you know. Know your tax law well as it relates to incomes and gains that are exempt from tax. Deeply and clearly understand how exempt incomes and gains work. Be proactive, plan your tax matters ahead. Maintain a comprehensive register of exempt incomes and gains. Very important. Design and structure or restructure your income generating activities creatively. You have to design and structure. And if you have already structured, you have to restructure now creatively all your income generating activities. We can help you do that when you contact us if you need so. Invest creatively in tax exempt income investment portfolios. Just don't invest anyhow. Invest with tax exemption in your mind. Plan all your plan all year round, not just at tax time. And most importantly, please consult and stay with TaxCorp for all your tax matters. TaxCorp will help you. So here are the 22 interdependent compasses. Like we always say, you go through them and just select the one that deals with your issue and you're happy. And if for any reason you have an issue, a tax matter that is not dealt with in any of the 22 interdependent compasses and the additional ones we have created, please contact us by dropping a message in the comment section or through any of our various contact channels. So, a little about TaskCorp and the principal consultant. TaskCorp is the Nigerian tax consultancy firm which specializes in tax matters. Prince Chidi, FCA, FCTI, MBA is the principal consultant. Prince Chidi is a licensed fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICAN, and also a licensed fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN. TaxCorp and Prince Chidi have provided tax services to numerous individuals and corporate bodies in both the public and private sectors, locally and internationally, since 1990, that's over 3 decades ago. The beneficiaries include the Nigeria Revenue Service, formerly the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RAMFAC, state internal revenue services, including Lagos State, Abia State, Enugu State, Kano State, and so many, and also Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service, and many private companies and individuals. For details on the NTAs, Nigerian Tax Act, about TaxCorp, and all that we can do for you, please contact us in various social media. We are on Facebook, we are on TikTok, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, and you have our WhatsApp numbers and our email and our website. Please kindly contact us if you have any issue or how we can advance this enlightenment program to entire Nigerians and the world in general. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.